Now that we're 3 weeks into the NFL season, I want to share a list of players that I believe fit into two categories for Dynasty, and that's buy highs and sell lows. So my first buy high is actually the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, Jalen Hurts, specifically in Superflex leagues. Because as of right now, only 3 quarterbacks are averaging over 23 fantasy points per game through the first 3 weeks, and that's Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts. But in fact, all 3 of them are actually averaging over 28 points per game. That's how big of a gap there is between them right now and quarterback 4 Patrick Mahomes. Now, Hurts' main issue up to this point from a dynasty perspective has been longevity, since he came into the NFL as a day 2 pick, and the Eagles have always had a couple first-round picks to threaten taking a quarterback at any point since he's taken over. So because of that, that's led to a lower dynasty price despite his elite fantasy production that we even saw last year when he was QB7 in fantasy points per game. But now that longevity issue can be put to rest, because there is no way that the Eagles are even thinking of replacing Hurts after his performance so far if he continues on through the season, even potentially wins NFL MVP this year. And that is now making him a very safe dynasty asset with elite fantasy production at only 24 years old at the most important position in Superflex leagues. And because of that, I'm all in and I'm very willing to buy high. I think there's actually a realistic argument that Jalen Hurts is a top 3 dynasty quarterback if you're feeling spicy, but he should be firmly inside the top 5 for the consensus and for everybody. I would be willing to add to Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and even Joe Burrow to get to Jalen Hurts in Superflex leagues, and I'd be willing to send both Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert away if you're able to get Jalen Hurts plus just about anything. I think it's time that we start looking at Hurts as a legitimate quarterback in the NFL and for Dynasty with one of the best receiving rooms in the league. Paired with his dual threat ability, he's a massive buy high right now before his price climbs any higher to just basically unattainable levels. On the flip side, there are 2 sell lows at the quarterback position, and they're both of them actually just the 2 veteran guys, Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if y'all know this, but both quarterbacks aren't even in the top 20 right now in fantasy and are both behind Jacoby Brissett, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, and Baker Mayfield. It's been absolutely horrible rostering and even playing both these guys this year, and it's not going to get any better. Personally, Rodgers has been a dynasty sell for me this entire offseason after they traded away Davante Adams, because he's playing with the worst receiving room he's ever had in his entire career at age 38, almost 39 years old. And there was no way that he should have made it into the season on your fantasy roster, but if he did, get out of him right now. I still believe that you can get a 23 first for him in some Superflex leagues, but that might even be pushing it right now after the production that he's had so far. But if you do get any first for him, I'm selling. I'd be trying, honestly, to go for guys like Jameis Winston or Kenny Pickett, Jared Goff even, if you can just move Rodgers for one of those guys in like a 3rd round pick. Brady's actually the same way, but his price is actually even lower because we know that he's not coming back next year, and he's produced even worse than Aaron Rodgers up to this point. I'd take any 23 second for Brady in Superflex leagues, and that same list of pivots that I said with Rodgers, Winston, Pickett, Goff, all apply here too. And to be honest, I might even add something, just a little something to Brady to get to one of those guys, as crazy as that sounds, just so I can get rid of Tom Brady on my dynasty team and at least have someone who's producing similarly, if not better now, and I think has a decent chance to still be a starting quarterback next year. Let's move over to the wide receiver position, because there is a laundry list of guys that I want to buy high on right now. That includes Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown, the rookies who have produced Drake London, Garrett Wilson, and Chris Olave, then also Michael Pittman and C.D. Lamb. But there's one other player that I really want to highlight right now at the wide receiver position as a buy high, and that's Jaguars receiver Christian Kirk. Now, Kirk has been exceeding my expectations immensely already, to the point where I've changed my tune from just kind of being meh on him and not really having an opinion all offseason to where I want to buy him now before his price skyrockets even more than it already has. In fact, I was looking at September DLF ADP, and it's crazy now to look back at it and see that we were taking Christian Kirk as the wide receiver 43 just at the beginning of this month. That price has clearly risen now to definitely being inside the top 30, if not actually more likely the top 25. Because looking at the players drafted ahead of him, I would definitely take Kirk right now over Sky Moore, Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Jamison Williams, Brandon Ayuk, Allen Robinson, George Pickens, Keenan Allen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Darnell Mooney, Mike Evans, Terry McLaurin, and a hot take here, but I would do it, Rashad Bateman too. I'd rather have Christian Kirk over all of those guys with relative ease as well. But with all that said, I think a more general consensus right now might not have Christian Kirk just up that high just yet, meaning now is the time to strike if you're like me and you want to buy Christian Kirk. I think there's definitely leagues out there where you can flip guys like Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, even Mike Evans for Christian Kirk straight up, and I would do that. I also think it wouldn't take too much to add to guys like George Pickens, Brandon Ayuk, and Juju Smith-Schuster in order to go get Christian Kirk, all of whom I'd be willing to add even up to a second onto any of them for Christian Kirk. And then my hot take, I said that I would take Christian Kirk over Rashad Bateman straight up, but I know in 90% of Dynasty leagues out there, that's not the case, and you don't actually have to do that, but you can get Christian Kirk plus for Rashad Bateman, which I would absolutely love to do. Now at the running back position, I have a laundry list of guys that I actually want to sell low on right now, which is basically everybody over the age of like 26. So Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones. Even if these guys are producing for you right now, I still would be looking to move on, even if you are still competing. Try to see if you can flip those guys for the receivers that I had just mentioned. Do trades like Austin Eckler for Michael Pittman, or Christian McCaffrey for A.J. Brown, Aaron Jones for Drake London. Those kinds of trades are going to help you out so much in the long run, and they still will help you out this year for the production that those wide receivers are going to give you. So try it out. See if you can make any one of those moves, because I would absolutely love to do that. But the one sell low at the running back position that I really want to emphasize is Ezekiel Elliott, because this dude is cooked. Zeke has played in all 3 games so far and still has fewer fantasy points than Dontrell Hilliard, who's played in 2 games. It's honestly painful to watch Zeke knowing that he's just stealing touches away from Tony Pollard, who is just so much better at this point in their careers, but we're still here feeding Zeke, and I really couldn't care less. Zeke needs to be off your roster today for nearly anything. I mean, flip him for like a 2027 second round pick, or Jamal Williams straight up, Jeff Wilson straight up, Romeo Doubs. Pair him with Tom Brady to get to Jameis Winston. Do whatever you got to do and get Ezekiel Elliott off of your team, because the only thing separating Zeke and Todd Gurley right now is a healthy knee. And if Zeke were to actually get hurt, then it's game over. He's actually like actually a dead asset in Dynasty. So you need to trade him right now. If you guys are interested in hearing about some more moves that you need to make in Dynasty or redraft even, you can check out Justin's video right up here.